Hey guys, Scott Longyear here from scottlongyear.com. You know, one of the greatest things I think we can do in life is to listen to what God has to say to us. Unfortunately, there are a lot of things that get in the way and disrupt our hearing from God. And one of those things could be that we're serving too much and serving so much that we don't hear from God. Stick around because I think God has some challenging words for us on that. So I was challenged in some of my quiet time. Not very long ago, I was reading in Luke chapter 10, in verse 38. Luke chapter 10, starting at verse 38. Luke says, records this: As Jesus and his disciples were on their way, he came to a village where a woman named Martha opened her home to him. And she had a sister called Mary, who sat at the Lord's feet and listened to what he said. But Martha was distracted by all the preparations that had to be made. And she came to him and she asked, Lord, don't you care that my sister has left me to do all the work by myself? Tell her to help me. So she's saying, Lord, my sister is sitting, all she's doing is listening, and I have all this work to do. And then Jesus says this: Martha, Martha, you're worried and upset about many things, but only one thing is needed. And Mary has chosen what is better, and it will not be taken away from her. So Jesus is saying, your serving is getting in the way of your listening. Now, do we serve God? Yes. Do we serve each other? Absolutely. Is that an important part of our expression of our faith? Yes, absolutely. But is it possible that we could serve too much? Jesus would say here that sometimes our serving gets in the way of our listening. And I've been like that. I've gone through seasons where I'm like, I'm listening, or I'm serving, and I find out that I'm just a doer. And what he says in verse 41 is that we're anxious and we're troubled when we do. And all the things that we do are just doing, and they're not listening. I have a friend that I was talking to, a friend who's in ministry, who's a doer, and she gets things done, and she's knocking things out. But when it comes to her listening, she would admit, like, she's in a season right now where she's just not listening to what God has to say to her, but she's doing all these good things. And people would look at her life and say, you're doing all these good things, but she's not listening at all. And I think the Lord would look at her, and has looked at me sometimes and said, you're anxious about a lot of things, and it's the things that you're doing, but that's not what's really important. That's not what's primary. What's primary is that you listen to me. Because it is possible to do without listening, but it is almost impossible to listen without doing. Because when we begin to listen to what the Lord has to say to us, then what we do comes out of a listening relationship to Him, and He tells us what to do. So here's my challenge for you this week. If you're a doer like me and you lean towards that, and I'm big time into doing things, and it's a challenge for me sometimes to listen, here's my challenge to you. Would you take, maybe it's you make a list on your computer, or it's a notebook, a piece of paper that you carry around with you, or maybe if you have a smartphone, it's a little notes application or something, and just put a title at the top that says, Things God is Saying to Me. And just this week, would you begin to record the things that God's saying to you? And I think just in that simple practice, what you'll find is that you'll be listening to more to what He has to say, because my guess is that He has great, great things that He wants to speak to you this week if you'll only listen through His Word and through some prayer and some time with Him. Maybe you need to set aside some doing and just listening. And I look forward to hearing what the Father says to you.